How y'all be out there? How y'all be? I know y'all been waiting on some type of information on what I have been studying and things of this nature. All right, but so I'll have you wait no longer. But without the demonstration of the physical manifestation, I'm going to give it to you. And if you didn't know, the shift, well, let me put this correctly. Not the shift, but a shift has taken place. And if you're watching this, you just caught the wave. For real, for real. Now, you don't have to consider it. Nevertheless, as the title states, and I'm not even positive or negatively sure what to call this title. Nevertheless, let's proceed forward. All right. We were speaking about the perfect correspondence. All right. Now, the perfect correspondence, I understand now to be universally known everywhere. And it was only hidden well by those everywhere. But for reasons I know not. Okay? But now it is time that we know. Nevertheless, and there's a possibility they didn't even know, some of them. It's possible, give or take, you know what I'm saying, being considerate. Nevertheless, I really don't know where to start. It's so much. But I'm going to give it to you as fast as possible. If that's possible, which all is possible. I'm going to get on with it now. Okay. We were talking about the perfect correspondence. We were talking about Van de Graaff generators. Right? I was talking about making them. See, and the only reason why I wanted to make them, well, I'll tell you that later. Let's just get into it. Now, in the Van de Graaff generator, right, it's an ionic generator. It creates ions, negative ions and positive ions. Now, it don't create like a generator that that's for electricity in the manner of 120 volts. This ionic generator can give you thousands and thousands upon thousands of volts, right? Now, listen, in order to make these generators, okay, I'm going to throw it back at you for those who didn't catch the other video. This is a Van de Graaff generator, right? It consists of a metal sphere, hollow metal sphere, right, with a belt. The belt can be made of different type of properties and materials. It has a little cone at the bottom, all right? A little like wire brush at the bottom that picks up the positive ions and ground them out. This cone at the top picks up the negative ions. Even though this says positive at the top, it could be vice versa. It depends on the roller. This roller at the top needs to be a certain material. Okay, some people set it up with aluminum to get this effect. It's positive at the top. But other people set it up with a Teflon roller at the top. Some people set it up with a glass roller at the top. The belt can be rubber, it can be silk, it can be nylon, right? The bottom roller should be rubber, depending on what type of materials is the correct correspondence, all right? Now, just one more minute. Now, let's get straightforward. All right, now these, I'm going to have to run you all back. You know, excuse me, I'm going to use my notes. These are the correct correspondence, all right? Let's just do this, okay? Nobody to think nothing different. Straightforward. These are the correct correspondence, right? At the top, you have the positive. At the bottom, you have the minuses, which is the negative ions. All this that can repel, you got to look into it. But these let you know what type of materials you're working with. Now, these are some of them, not all of them, all right? Now, what am I getting at? I'm getting at some powerful stuff. Actually, I'm getting at to a science that defines everything, or a science that explains everything, or a way to get the inner workings of almost everything, all right? If not everything, all right? Now, we're going to start, let me see, I'm trying to keep this in sync, right? Because I really didn't attempt to put this together for you right now. But I see I was in there putting together ion generators after ion generators after ion generators. And I looked at a brother that had been watching, and he took, it is so many avenues that this just will open up the understanding of a lot of things that we don't understand, and why we ought to be assured of our thoughts because of this understanding. Hear me out. Stay tuned, for real, for real. Do not shut this off, or you will miss out much. Listen, the correspondence. I'm just going to start with, let me see now. Listen, I'll give you a picture first. Look, these are science experiments, right? Science experiments. But what you need to understand about this, see, this is a piece of PCV pipe. This is an aluminum can. By negatively charging this PCP pipe, all right, it pushes aluminum. It will push an aluminum can. Now, if you positively charge it, it will attract the aluminum can. Okay, do you get me? Do you got it? Do you see it? No, you don't. Okay, let me explain something. This piece of plastic can be rubbed with a cloth, all right? And it gets so-called static charge, all right? Now, I'm gonna say static charge, but that's so like minute of a name or a title, okay? Einstein said the whole universe was static, a static universe, but he still was like not sounding correct. But we're gonna use this word static, but you come up with your own understanding at the end of this, okay? It's charged, let's just say charged with kinetic energy, because it has, if static can move things, then it has to have the ability to move in kinetic mannerism materials, depending on the material, a push or a pull. Now listen, what are they spraying in the air? Aluminum, right? Static, negatively charged, has the ability to push aluminum away. Static has the ability to push aluminum away, meaning you can walk through it if you're negatively charged, and it will not touch you, because your aura, full of this static so-called charge, will not allow it to land upon thee. Now listen, especially very minute particles, they are pushed in the view and in the directions of others who are not negatively magnetically charged. All right, now, and there's a lot of other little experiments you need to take a look at and see, like this same ooh, did you see that? This oh, and I'm charged, believe that. Listen, this here is a same piece of plastic, right? Which is oil. Plastic is made out of oil. If it gets negatively charged, it can push plastic out of the way. Okay? And you have, once I reveal the science that defines everything that you're going to go through, and the way and the manner to utilize this science is the same things the shaman knew. It's the same thing that science, so-called scientists knows, or should know. And it's the same things that the physicists know, or should know. But a simple fact, it undergirds, it's the common denominator to the inner workings of everything. We're going to go to this Bible, right? Bible, right? Two different types of images, two different types of books, which two always creates three, right? You know, two is always going to make three. I mean, excuse me, 1 + 1 is always going to make 3. Always. Look, the mother, the father, they get together and make a child. That's 3. They say when 2 come together, they make 1. Right. That third one. Do not be fooled. Listen, don't worry about it. Nevertheless. All right. Now we're going to go, I had to make some notes in this book. Right. So nevertheless, I got notes everywhere. I got the most notes here. Nevertheless, listen. In order to get this started, and I'm going to be slow with this, all right, because I want to get it to you thorough, so bear with me, because you have great understanding upon you at this moment, okay? Say hello to the new ship, or one of the new ships. Glad to have you aboard. No, well, glad to have you in the company of the frequency, of the waves, all right? Now, let's go, let's go to Jesus, all right? Remember, when he was walking down that road, and the woman said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, all right? Touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed. Did she know something that a lot of other people didn't know? I don't know. Let's take a look at it. Check this out. In the Bible, I should have brought one before you at this moment. Nevertheless, it is in your head, so let me read that book. It said, the lady reached out to touch him, and instantly energy went out of him. He felt energy leave him, and he turned around, right? He turned around, right, to see who it was that touched him. And it was a woman. And he said whatever he said, right? But what I want to take, where I want you to go with completely with this, is that it signified that energy left his body, all right? So what was he, if he could feel energy leaving his body? Now hold on now. Let's just use this one, all right? This is the Van de Graaff generator once again, all right? All right, this is the Van de Graaff generator. When you touch this ball, it'll, you know, it throws negative ion charges out in a streak of lightning, and I'm gonna explain that too. Okay, this air particles, not that. Nevertheless, when you touch that ball, it'll give you a shock. so-called static electricity. The same shock you get when you walk across that carpet and you touch that doorknob. Like that. They said energy left Issa, Brother Justice, Jesus, the promorphosized energy that you call Jesus, left his body. Right? Maybe it went the same way the Egyptians, right? Wearing their correspondence, all the copper and certain elements on them, so they could absorb the energy. See, black absorbs all energy, right? Okay, listen. Energy left his body. So what in the state and in the manner in which this wisdom or story, all right, or hieroglyph comes to us, we would have to agree. We all would have to agree that he was a walking negative ion generator. All right? Negative ions. We all know negative ions heals the body. We all know negative ions. Anybody that has a high concentration of negative ions lives longer, has better health, you know, has better temperament, and many other things. Look it up. Just check it out. Negative ions. Listen. So energy left his body. So if it threw out energy by being touched, she may have knew something. If I could just touch him to get him to release some of his negative ions. Yeah, it sounds far-fetched, but just listen. Let's proceed. So let's kick that in a higher gear. Keep that in mind. Okay, hold that thought. Look, let's go to this word faith again. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. It didn't say faith was hope. It said faith is the substance of things hoped for. Substance. Now let's listen to that word, substance. Substance. The substance of things hoped for. Subatomic, right? Under, subatomic, under, hidden, occult. All right? Now, let's read that again. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. The subatomic of things hoped for. Faith is the subatomic, all right, mechanisms of things hoped for. And it goes on to say the evidence of things not seen. Now, let's stay in the subatomic for a minute. In order to have faith in something, you don't really know, but you know the subatomic workings of it, right? Which leads us back to the perfect correspondence, right? Which would lead us back to the perfect correspondence. What did the shaman know? He knew certain roots that would push certain auras or energy fields, whether they be metals, whether their composition be made of lead, whether their composition be made of nickel, copper, silver. What does the witch know? The way to repel, to remove energies. What are these? What is the nature of the mechanism? You would have to know the correct correspondence in order to utilize what is called magic or shamanism or medical professionism, which we know is under a certain rule or whatever, or a certain design. Nevertheless, the substance of things hoped for, the subatomic, if I could just touch his garment, he released energy and he felt it go out his body, negative electrons, right? Now, I'm gonna be going everywhere. Like I said, I'm not a leader. I'm not a teacher. I'm here to explain what I have found, that you may utilize it Okay? Nevertheless, I'm going to jump around here. It's all going to make sense because you're putting stuff together as I speak. Nevertheless, understand this. Here's one of my notes. It says, understanding that water, right? Water. I showed you the little scientific thing of charging up a piece of plastic, right? And it made the dripping running water, not dripping, but a little small thin stream of water bend. It pulled it to it, right? It pulled it to it, right? You remember that. If you didn't, just check it out. You can check it out on any science thing called static electricity, and they'll show you that static from your hair can bend water. Water benders, right? Check this out. Now, water refracts light. Now, we're supposed to be a lot of water, right? 70%, right? The light, when it hits water, it refracts, it bends, right? Or refracts the light wave, right? Our genetics is the water due to the composition to a correct correspondence with what we have been eating, all right? So, now remember, now static bends the water even more. So the negative charge would actually even make the refraction, the natural refraction, or let's just say the natural geometrical shape of the water pattern due to the light hitting it, our static will actually warp it even more. All right, think about that. You know, you ever heard, okay, you know about the particles and waves, right? You also heard, don't make waves. I already tell you, don't make waves. Don't go against the grain. Check this out. No, I'm not going to show you that one right now. But I see it's going to be a certain limit to this one. But nevertheless, static pushes aluminum out the way. Our body generates the most energy, right? But it's on a small compared to the DC or this electricity they're using, right? Because it's like an artificial type of energy. But our energy is the ultimate energy. It is the infinite energy. It is the only substance that's going to make something become consciously aware. See, the computer is not conscious. It only responds to your consciousness. And it can become semi-conscious due to you talking in your phones. And it could actually call you up and speak to you with your same voice. Far-fetched? Yeah, okay. Nevertheless, so as I was working on these generators, these ionic generators, right? It is one, and I know, you know, and everyone else knows that if you're working on generators, you're working on the physicalities. You're stuck in all the lights and illusions of the physical. No. You say, well, you got a reason for everything. Yeah, well, so do you. Nevertheless, I'm going to explain mine. And it is not a reason, actually. That's just a word defining what you have accepted. But nevertheless, I'm going to tell you why. This so-called faith, right? And I don't want to use that word. But nevertheless, the true meaning of the faith is the the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If you don't have no evidence in a court of law, so-called, right, you cannot bring no charges up against no one. You have no valid points to make. You're talking out of your ass. Goodbye. Do not come in this room, this courtroom again. That's what you will be told. Right? No evidence. How dare you? Goofy. All right. What's the substance of things hoped for? The subatomic measures that you know take place. All right. The subatomic measures. Now, you know, this is still coming down because it's a download. It is a shift happening. And I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to bring it to you. Listen. This machine is unutilized to, now I'll give you a better format. The Hierophant teaching the apprentice, right, in alchemy. Now, it doesn't matter what side I'm on, so don't get confused with all this shit, okay? 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 All right. From me, at least, don't get excited. Don't get confused. Don't get upset. Or none of that. And if you do, listen. I'm not going to worry about how you accept this, because that's not a part of why I'm telling you this. Nevertheless, it is for the betterment of everyone. You and anyone who wants to help themselves to better health and better mind management. Nevertheless, all right. So, these things that I've learned, all right, was also being taught in the mystery school, so-called, where they would take a apprentice or, you know, a novelist and teach him alchemy. So they would give him copper, and he would understand the subatomic and the nature of what he was working with. And when he had got to a certain level, they'll tell you, now see, by you working with that copper right there, okay, you are actually working with the planet Venus. And then they would give him silver, and he would learn out the subatomics, the correct correspondence with it, what it could be actually utilized for in the subatomic, the hidden, right, and the occult knowledge of it, the subatomic. This is part of your faith. The substance of things hoped for. If you don't know the substance of something, you really truly don't know it at all. Right? And if you take the word of someone, then you seriously don't know if you've been led astray or used. So, therefore, they would have to work with the metals physically. And then when they get to the point where they have the knowledge of the silver, the knowledge of the copper, the knowledge of the gold, the subatomic knowledge and acceptance of the correct correspondence of the wood, the correct correspondence of their skin, the correct correspondence of glass, you know, then and only then, when you had the acceptance of the correct correspondence of the metals and the materials such as wood, you know, then and only then should you build anything, because you could be building a structure. Let's just put it, you know how the guy that made those orgone accumulators, he had the knowledge of a perfect correspondence, right? See, you could be putting together a house and be using some shit that could actually fry a motherfucker. And I haven't looked into it, but it's a possibility, because you could be utilizing, put it like this, why is a pencil made of wood? Why does it have a lid inside with a little piece of aluminum on it, with a piece of rubber on it? You say it's just a pencil. Well, really? I don't know yet. I'm not sure what the fuck that is. Really? Listen. You see what I'm saying? So you would have to study these. Now listen. So anyway, when I was putting together the Van de Graaff generator, right? When I'm putting these together, right? I hear brother resort back to what I had said, and he said, "Oh, you know, it's all done on the outside, but we say we are God." Now we know this word God is, we're older than this word God. But when I say God, it just means a creator, one who shapes his destiny. All right, that's it. That's all my conceptualizing is saying. I'm not hooked on whatever the fuck they, you know, the definition of it, you know. And pretty soon I will stop saying God. Just say the creators. We are creators of our own dynamics of our lives, you know. Now this, once again, is correct correspondence that was utilized and tried and not verbalized, all right? It was not verbalized. It was pictorialized in Kemet. They wanted you to see something. They didn't want you to hear too much shit because they didn't use vowels. They just wanted you to see some shit. And due to the level of your eyes, you know, your real eye, right? You could actually learn something, all right? Correct correspondence. What do you see up there? You see feathers, you see wood, you even see, well, what do you see? Right? Negative ion generator. Now listen, the novice would work physically with the element to understand the element. Then he is told that he's actually working with a source energy that's astrological and astronomical, all right? A higher force, a higher vibration, okay? Now, then that novice was told by the Hierophant, he was told what? He was told now it is time to put away the materials because what you have learned is inside of you. So when you want to repel certain things that's inside of you, you would know exactly what to eat, even if it came up to be dirt, to repel something. I'm just utilizing this because we think we need Tylenol and etc. And from my knowledge now, I'm sure you even know you don't need that shit, but most rely on that shit. And it helps because of their what? Placebo, or not even that. It's due to a routine and a sensation that's equated with relief. All right. Nevertheless, now the novice would just work with the materials until he learned what he needed to learn, and he came up on a level where his guide would say, enough, you have passed that which you need to pass. Now I will tell you where you're at. All of that you have studied self. Because when you study anything, you are studying self. You must know this. Nevertheless, this is why, before I wanted to talk about some shit, I wanted to go and lay my hands upon some things. You know what I'm saying? And get the understanding and the subatomic mechanisms of it, right? before I come out and try to explain or explain anything. All right. Now, I have, due to my mind, I'm re-engineering a whole bunch of things, trying new things here and there. Nevertheless, just for me, my intention is not to save the world, because I know it's not possible for me to save this world. I can only save me and my world, in my world, right? You can save yourself. Like Noble Drew Ali said, if I could just get them to think, they could save their damn self. All right? See, so then he came out with a format to go against or to utilize. But everything that you're learning and teaching is good. We need that. For real, I'll get back to that. But great. Listen. So, and that's, you know, to the frequency and the wave of the Moors. All right? The way they're studying, you know, studying law. Because it teaches you an in and out and what to be aware of and things of this nature if you're dealing with them in that format, you know. Nevertheless, so anyway, we put our hands physically upon these elements and we learn them, and then we find out that we learn them ourselves, right? So with that in mind, the correct correspondence opens up doors to many things. It's the science that underlines a lot that we don't have a definite definition for. But don't look for a definite definition, because words cannot definitely describe a damn thing, because they have terms. And what's the you have so many things that can correspond with a word like this, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like this. All right. Nevertheless, this is so much knowledge. I want to go just as slow as possible. All right. And I can see I'm gonna make a number part 2, because it is kind of made. I got excited a little bit. Right. So this may come out kind of. There's certain things I don't want to say right now. I want you to use your head and leave a comment, you know, because I understand that when I totally get straight at a thing, it's not good, because others can give you more knowledge than to help you along a higher road at times. Now I'm just going to show you this. All right. These are toroidal coilings and what's called platonic coilings, right? It's high pitch angles in it, right? And low pitch angles and high bend angles, right? And all of these, just the wire, just the copper being intertwined, creates a field when charged. Now you got to understand, this allows us to understand that in order for anything to be charged, the only thing that needs to happen is that the wind blows through it, or that it creates friction, because we think it's nothing in this air, but it's full of charged particles, negative and positive. So when you go like this, you just shot energy through these. When you go like this, you can pull the negative charge out of the air or the positive charge out of the air. The same thing in negative this generator, but you cannot be grounded. If you're grounded, the charge goes straight to the earth. All right, it goes straight to the earth. When Issa Brother Justice Jesus was touched, he had to be not grounded, because charge and energy would not have left him, just like the Van de Graaff generator. The Van de Graaff generator, you touch this, it'll shock you. It'll make your hair stand up. If it's grounded. But if you take off the ground, it won't work. It will not work. Okay, so with your shoes on, or with a certain shoe on, or with a certain material with the correct correspondence, will not allow you to be grounded, which you will hold the charge in the infinity of your body. They say, how long is the intestines? It can reach the moon, right? What is the intestines? The first brain. I'm not going to explain that to everyone. Check it out yourself. Nevertheless, when wires are coiled in certain manners, you have a high angle and a low angle. All right? This right here is the dynamics for sound. Only thing you need is a magnet, wire coil around it, and you can pick up sound. Now just correspond this with whatever you can and direct it within to self. These are the ways to see the new shift, or the shift that was already here, that's in a that was hid in a different dimension that we couldn't see at a time. All right. Now, let me see, where can I go with this? So many places. But I knew I should have cut the camera on when I first got it, but I sat back and did a few things and then brought it to you. I should have jumped on it. It's just like when you receive some knowledge, you should write it down. And if you don't write it down, you'll miss it like that. Or you can't recall it just that quick. But it's always there. But nevertheless, that's such a situation as of right at this moment. Nevertheless, so what I'm stating is the science that defines a lot of things, like, you know, in the air, they call it the air, right? They call this a static generator, right? Right. Now, actually, they'll tell you when you look at the Van de Graaff generator, it'll tell you, and on the videos, look at the videos, you'll see them explaining it. But they'll tell you the reason why you see the spark hit your finger in blue, right? Which possibly mean gamma rays, an ionosphere, negative ions. It could be. I haven't went that far in. But nevertheless, the reason why you see the big spark hit your ass, you know what I'm saying, is because it's a mock-up of the lightning. But it'll tell you in a small type of category, you know. But anyway, they'll tell you that what you're seeing the spark, because what happens is you're basically seeing the negative electron turns to a photon through the atmosphere, right, to your skin. So remember, the air is so-called charged particles, negative and positive charged particles. You can't see them, they're unseen. But if you have a negative generator, if you become one, then you can illuminate the negative charges in the air, which means it creates lightning and it goes to its destination from the focus in which it has been focused. Right? Photons, photon beams. They say missiles can be guided. Nevertheless, what am I'm not getting too drastic. These are just measures and words to get you to understand meditation and focus. But a lot of times, meditation is not only what you perceive it to be. It's much more. I've even heard a Buddhist monk say, meditation, most people think it's this and most people think it's that. But meditation is done every day and every minute within every day, basically. but we don't know it. And his answer was, I don't, anyway, this one being stated that meditation is only concentrating on your breath. We say to clear your mind, think about this, think about that. Well, this one is a so-called Buddhist monk. I don't know if he was an actor or not. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter what I think. Listen. So anyway, he says it's just focusing on your breath. So when I tried such a thing, I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on my breath. Inhale all the way down. Exhale all the way out. Inhale all the way down and stretch the stomach as much as possible. Fill the belly with these charged particles. Fill it. Hold it even. And let it out just as slow as possible. A full expansion, inner expansion, and a full inner contraction. Slow. And guess what I found out? When I focused on my breath, I didn't have no thoughts in my mind. But when I tried to silence the mind, it wasn't happening. It don't happen that much. That's why we get to, it's kind of hard to settle your mind, calm the storm. But, as the Buddhist monk said, it's just focusing on your breath. So try it and see what comes to your mind when you focus on your breath. Just suck all the way in slow. I'm trying to get you to hear it. Fill your belly all the way down. And then when you push out, all the way out, even past where you think you should stop. Keep going. And then when you inhale, keep going. Don't just stop because you think your belly filled. Keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. And then when you release, don't go, no. You let it out just as slow as you just did in reverse, all right? Try it. And watch how clear your mind is. Watch how you're going to see that you're not even going to be thinking. Your mind is going to be clear as hell. Nevertheless, check it out. So anyway, I'm going to make a part 2. But this science explaining everything. It explains how the shaman works. Look at this. They're controlling the atmosphere, right? This is what the Matrix says. This is what we can actually look up in these things and see. Well, how did they do it? The correct correspondence. How did you get a goddamn cloud? How did you get aluminum to stay up in the air, man? Correct correspondence. How do you get it to fall down? Listen. If the earth is negatively charged, guess what? Guess what? The aluminum in the air from the planes will not fall on it. It will stay in the ground. It will stay above the earth. You understand? It will stay up there. And then, and then when it flips and it gets too cloudy, right? Then the earth becomes positive. It's going to pour down to the ground, right? And then you see more planes flying around, spraying more, right? And then the earth. You understand this? So, the correct correspondence can lead you into a lot of things, even the healing of yourself. We know. See, and let me get into this balance. We talk about the balance, balance, being balanced, but I don't think everyone understands what balance is, or haven't really took a good and much better look at balance. See, in this so-called charged particles, the positive and the negatives, right? In this so-called, I'm gonna let you see this whole shirt. As a matter of fact, I got a bag of shirts, right? I didn't even know I had so many. Anyway, I'm gonna be giving them away, and I'm gonna put up a what's the name on my video. I'm gonna give them away. This is probably about 36 shirts or something like that. I don't know the sizes. They normally run medium, large, and extra large. There might be a couple 2 and 3X's. But I'm gonna make a video and put them out there. If you want them, just hit hieroglyphic1communications@gmail.com, and if you want one, I may send it to you. If you want more than one, you're gonna have to pay the shipping. Nevertheless, so and for real, on to the next one. So the correct correspondence, man, is necessary. It is much broader, but I'm gonna see what you come up with. I'm gonna see if you leave a comment. I'm gonna see if you hit the like button. It really don't fucking matter. Nevertheless, y'all, the ship is here. One of them is here. Alright? One of the ships are here. You know, because why? Because we understand the substance of things hoped for. So you can't just hope for some shit and don't understand the substantial parts, or what's the second part? Or the evidence of things not seen. The evidence. The evidence is a subatomic. If you understand what controls the subatomic, how to push certain particles that may be detrimental to you out of your aura, out of your magnetic field. See, your magnetic field becomes weak. Why? Probably it can be due to the things you wear. See, cotton, let me tell you, cotton is neutral, all right? And depending on the vessel, this should tell you and correspond to what you should wear. If you want to be highly negatively charged, you should be wearing rayon, polyester, all right? You should have some acrylic shit on yourself. That's why we get them orgone generators, right? I mean, them orgone. We get the you know, the orgone devices and stuff. You know, the little pyramids, the little crystals and stuff. You know, but nevertheless, it's more than that in here. The nickel, copper. You know what I mean? Wood. You know them wooden beads that people be wearing. Now you understand what the hell the correspondence is on that. You know. So, don't be so unwise and intelligent. When the person have on something, be like, okay. So he's drawing that energy, and then look at the fabric that they have on. They may know something. They may be giving you something that you never would have thought. That's why a lot of people make their own clothes, because that gives them ability to make a perfect correspondence. That's why every so-called superhero had a so-called costume, but as you can see, we need no costume. This is not a costume. You know, we are the original organic beings. Nevertheless, I'm gonna leave it there, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna come back forward at you. All right. So I hope this served you well. Another thing on the correspondence, let me say this real quick. This is another ionic generator, but we're not gonna focus on that right now. We're gonna go right here. Now this is gonna be very small, but this is the light spectrum of the lights. When I was telling you how the light works. And you already know all this, right? Now, but look at it again. So, because if you look at it again, you will see something very, very interesting, all right? Which will deal with a correct correspondence. See, white, we knew, reflects all energy, and black absorbs it. But if white light goes into the prism, what comes out is all colors are reflected. All colors are reflected, right? If white light goes into a black, no color is reflected. If white light goes into a red prism, only red will be reflected. If white light goes into a green prism, only green light will be reflected. What did that tell us? Where all the other energy will be stored in that. So when white light hits the black, no color is reflected. That means it absorbs all the energy. Once again, the correspondence of the black body, or the melanated or carbonated body, reflects no light. It holds it in. So that which you give out, you have the ability to suck it back in you and pull it in. That's why we say nothing is lost. Stop thinking you losing energy. You know, that is a prison. Y'all be well. All right, and let's continue to grow. The ship, one of the ships has arrived. And we are going to explain to ourselves what part of that ship we're going to accept and promote. Be well. Do what you do, but be a perfectionist, or be an or make an exception to turn about in thy ways and learn from yourself, not from me, but from yourself. All right.